All right. Well, it's the Tyler Miller crew.
Hell yeah, it is.
And I just thought we'd do a quick little roundtable discussion with how the new world of real estate is treating all y'all. So in case you guys out there don't know, we had some rule changes here on, I think it was like last Friday.
August 17th.
Yeah, it's been like a weekish, and lots of different strategies going on out there with different real estate companies, different realtors that we've heard. And, we all know what we do here at our team, but I'm just kind of curious what you guys have been hearing out there, what you're seeing, anything catch you off guard. So yeah, let's just talk about it because it's kind of a wild time right now.
It is and it isn't at the same time. I feel like there's not been a whole lot that has changed. I guess like from the things that we did previously, we haven't changed a whole lot. So it hasn't changed my business by any means. I have heard like a couple crazy things. Some agents are starting to freak out a little bit. They're losing out on some showings and their buyers aren't wanting to go out because they don't want to sign paperwork and all of these other things. And I think it's because some of the buyers are worried because the agents aren't explaining things the right way.
Right.
Could be part of it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that? Do you think that everybody's kind of explaining it correctly, incorrectly?
That's what I think the problem. Yeah. That's a big problem, I think. So let's play this out for a second.
Yeah. I love role play.
This is what is happening, I think, a lot from agents who are a little scared about the new way to have these conversations with their buyers. And I think it's truly because they don't want to have these conversations with their buyers.
Right.
So they're taking the easy way out and they're just looking for that low-hanging fruit. So let's just play this out for a second. I'm going to be the buyer's agent. You be the listing agent.
Okay.
And you're going to respond like we normally would, like on our team, like kind of what we're saying. And then I'm going to walk everybody through what I think they're doing.
Perfect.
So first off, right now, just so everyone's aware, you can't advertise anywhere on the MLS what the seller's willing to pay a buyer's agent. And so it's harder to do. So a lot of agents are taking the strategy of like, well, gosh, I'm not going to work for free. So I got to call ahead and see what the seller's willing to pay me, which is wrong, I'll just say. But that's what a lot of agents are doing. So let's just play that out. Ring, ring.
Hey, Tyler, how are you?
Hey, you have my number saved. That's really cool.
I do. We did a deal like 6 years ago together.
Oh, yeah. Anyways, so I'm going to show your property, I think. Just wondering, what are you offering for compensation?
Yeah, Tyler, that's a great question. I want to let you know that the seller is actually open to negotiating their compensation to you.
So you're not paying anything?
I'm not saying that we're not, but we're open to negotiating to it. So if you want to write an offer with your compensation in there, be my guest and I'll present it to the seller and we'll go from there.
Okay, so there's no number or anything.
There's not a set number as of right now. Feel free to write in whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I've heard that, your brokerage isn't paying anything. So like, I kind of expected that's why I called. But yeah, I'll talk to the buyer. All right, click. That's what they're doing. Okay, you're my buyer. Oh. So I want to reiterate this to everybody. What Max just said was that you are willing to pay something, but it's open to negotiation.
Yeah. There's not a set number. There's not
a predetermined number.
Yeah,
right.
It's just whatever you.
But you
think
didn't say
worth.
no. I want to make that clear.
Correct.
Did he say no?
No, he didn't.
Did he say no?
He said negotiable.
You had your hearing aids on too, correct? So you could hear me. Okay, perfect.
So I want to make it clear. He didn't say no, but this is what's happening. Ring, ring.
Yes, Tyler.
I know you're just so excited to hear from me again. So hey, that house that you've been waiting for?
Yep.
And we haven't been able to find it, and then it finally hit the market.
Super excited about it.
Yeah, really excited about it. So unfortunately, like we talked about, there's some agents that aren't paying a buyer's agent right now, and these guys aren't advertising any sort of compensation up front. And so do you want to see that one?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't have the money to give you anything.
Right, and that's what I tried to explain to this asshole. They're not willing to give me a number. So like, I'm kind of feeling that, you may end up having to compensate me if we write an offer on this one. So like, I know it's like your dream house, but do you want to see it or?
I mean, I can't pay you, so I think we should just skip it.
Okay, I'll let them know.
Okay.
End scene.
Just to be clear, you're saying that's how the conversation is going with other agents to their buyers.
That's how I don't know this.
Yep.
We're just having a roundtable discussion based on some of the things that I'm hearing from other agents and the kind of the scarcity mindset, not understanding why we don't have a number anymore. I just know that they're not explaining up front to their buyer right, what's happening. They're operating under a one-time showing agreement, right? Where they don't have to explain compensation because that's the easy route.
Correct.
Right? And then they're just going to hope and pray that when the house that they show, that agent tells them what the buyer's agent is going to get paid, right? But if they don't, it brings up this awkward conversation now that this agent who didn't explain anything, they just use a one-time showing agreement. Now they have to go back to their client and have that awkward conversation. Right.
And it puts a lot of pressure on the buyer because
tons of pressure.
Like Nate said, they can't afford to pay for
tons of pressure. And so my point is like they're doing their client a disservice because they're not explaining it up front. They're just trying to operate as normal, business as usual, guys. Like if you hear that, just run. It's not business as usual. It's because for most people, business as usual was not presenting a buyer representation agreement. It was just showing houses without an agreement and doing commission behind the scenes, right? Which is what got us in the position that we are now. So anyways, my point with all this is, so I think that that's what's happening for some people. And then now this buyer feels that there are agents out there running around not offering compensation, right? Which is, I haven't heard of anyone saying I'm offering zero.
Yeah.
But if they are, there's a number that gets it done anyways. So it's never zero. But so that now there's buyers running around and then now they start to get upset eventually with possibly their agent, the other agents. And then maybe they just decide, you know what? I don't want to work with an agent at this point. I'm going to go right to the listing agent. I'm going to go right to the seller because my agent continuously is telling me that there's houses that I have to pay for his services and I don't have the money. So I'm just going to avoid all of it and just go buy direct to the listing agent, which is great for listing agents. How that conversation should have went, every agent watching, this is how you do it. Okay. You tell me it's negotiable. So I call my lovely buyer over here who doesn't have any extra money to pay me. And I'm well aware of that.
He's broke.
I'm well aware of that. Oh, we're on the phone again.
I was waiting for you to
ring.
Hi, Tyler.
Hi. So actually, I made a mistake on the last phone call, and I want to clarify some things because I feel like maybe we got off on the wrong foot.
You making a mistake? Unheard of.
I know,
Weird.
right? Never happens.
Okay.
First time for everything. So what I meant to say was when I called, first off, I didn't even ask about compensation because who gives a shit, right?
Sure.
Doesn't matter because one way or another, Nate, we're going to work this out.
Cool.
We're going to work this out. There's a chance that you might have to pay me something. But guess what? If that happens, you could just say no. We don't have to buy that house. But I'm pretty confident in my negotiation skills, and I know that every seller has a number that gets the job done. So, I didn't even ask about compensation. Let's just set up the showing. I want you to focus on, do you love this house? If you love the house, when you're okay.
Oh, yeah.
But when you see it, if you really love it and you're like, I want to write an offer, at that point in time, it's up to me. This is why you hire me, to negotiate my fee into the deal so that the seller takes care of my fee and you don't have to worry about paying me any additional funds. Is that okay? Can we try that?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay. And then we'll go see it, right? He loves it. And here's the other thing. It's on the purchase agreement, right?
The line for compensation.
The compensation, finally, for the first time in 40 years or however long. I mean, first time ever, I guess, but 40 years since buyer's agents. It's on the purchase agreement. So even if you told me a number, it's kind of irrelevant because I could write whatever I want in that blank.
Exactly.
Right?
And you could have been short selling yourself.
Absolutely. And it like if I would call and you're like, we pay out 2%. In this scenario, let's say I got Nate under a buyer representation agreement where I'm asking for 3% because that's what I feel like I'm worth. That's the value that I bring to the table, right? You can tell me whatever you want. I'm writing 3 in that blank because Nate doesn't have any money to pay me. And we have made that very abundantly clear, right? And so that's where I think this whole dilemma is with some of these agents where they're trying to get this number. But because there's a blank on the purchase agreement now, it doesn't matter what that number is.
Because they can fill in whatever they want.
It matters what you and your buyer have agreed to. Right?
I agree.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's irrelevant what somebody is telling me they're paying. And so that's where I think the fundamental gap in all this is with their mindset. is just like they're not understanding it's negotiable, guys. It doesn't matter.
And I think it kind of goes back towards on the seller too. It's like, what if you tell that buyer's agent you're offering 2.7 and the buyer's agent was happy with a 2% payout, you know, like now you're taking money away from the seller you could have potentially saved.
Well, or we're offering 2.7, but then there's 5 offers and one of them waives their compensation because their buyer's going to pay it in full. Now it's 0.
Yeah.
But you said, but it's negotiable now, guys. So it just, every single agent that's watching this or listening to this, the 2 of you that watch this or listen to this, show the house first. Don't worry about it. Don't even ask the question. I don't even want to know. Because if I know it's lower than what I'm charging, then I kind of get this like, oh, should I just charge less or something?
Yeah.
But don't even, it has nothing to do with the beginning process. It has everything to do with marketing a listing. If they want to market a listing and they think that advertising a commission up front will somehow bring in more buyers, then more power to them. I just don't know if it moves the needle. It never has before.
No, it really hasn't.
Right?
You're not wrong.
If I was showing a listing and I saw the payout was lower than what I was asking for, it wouldn't like stop me from showing it. I would show the house.
It's your job to work in your buyer's best interest.
Right.
If you don't, you're not showing them the house.
Well, it's always like people used to advertise like agent bonuses. Like they would, hey, we'll pay you a bonus if you sell this house. I don't know any agent out there that's like, I'm going to go and find this buyer magically that wants to buy this house now that there's a bonus.
Right.
Or I'm gonna talk them into it for a couple extra $1,000. Like no one's doing that.
No.
On the buyer rep, we owe a fiduciary duty to act in their best interest at all times.
Correct. And you're not doing that if you're forcing somebody into a house.
Or like talking them into it just because there's a extra bonus payout. So honestly, like sellers watching, like do whatever you want, but advertising a compensation up front, like I think that there was a time and place for that, but now that the compensation is negotiated on the purchase agreement, I just don't know if that makes much sense right now. I could be wrong. Again, this is a week into it.
Yeah.
6 months from now, I might be like, I was totally wrong. It does matter.
But who knows? You don't have a genie bottle. You can't see.
Yeah, I don't have a genie bottle.
Yeah.
Do you want to be my genie in a bottle?
Nope.
Do you think a lot of prices are going to go up? 2.5, 2.7?
No.
You think they'll stay?
No, I mean, I think they could go up, but I don't think it has anything to do with that. I think most agents are under the impression that when they're giving their client a price, it is, hey, at this price, expect to pay a buyer's agent, right?
The 2.7% that it's been for the last 40 years.
Right. We're doing nothing. It's like the same thing, guys. But
The-
it's all this just feeling out process that is just like mind numbing to me of just like, and I get it. For agents out there who are watching and you're at these other companies, I was in your mindset. When I first heard about all this, I'm like, I'm going to have to call every agent. I'm going to have to ask what the compensation is because if they're not offering to cover my buyer's fee, then I'm going to have to tell my buyer they might have to pay me. So I was all worried about that. But then it just dawned on me like it's all irrelevant because you can negotiate it on the offer. And the buyer ultimately can choose to not go through with that offer if they don't want to pay me.
Would you say that's just like another contingency point on an offer?
Yeah, it's just it's like closing costs.
Yeah.
It's literally closing costs. It's just, so I don't know.
Let me ask you this, Tyler. Our team has sold what? 1,300 homes plus. Out of those 1,300 homes, how many times did a buyer pay your commission?
0. Almost positive it's 0, unless there's one I'm forgetting.
And like, correct
Even
me if I'm
still, the
wrong,
ratio.
right? But it's always been an option for a seller not to pay out a buyer's agent, a buyer to pay your commission.
Correct.
It
Always.
just wasn't ever something.
Wasn't ever talked about.
And now it is. But in reality,
How many times in the last month has a buyer paid me my compensation? Once. So it's once in the last month versus 0 in the past 14 years. So it's going to happen. But
one
here's
out
the
of what?
deal.
One out of what?
1 out of like 4 or 5.
Okay.
But here's the deal. Well, for me personally, I don't. But they had the option. This is the best part about all this is it gives everybody options.
Yeah.
They could have easily put it into the purchase agreement, like we would have normally done. I said, okay, hey, at this price, they're only offering this percentage. I charge this. So do you want me to offer a little bit higher, like we would have normally done before, or do you want to just pay it separately? They just chose to pay it separately. There was no like reason.
You're giving them the options.
They were just like, we'll just pay at closing. I'm like, okay, like whatever you want to do, right? And then the last one I just negotiated, the builder was offering 2%. My fee was higher than that. And so again, I made it very clear from the beginning to my client. I'm like, hey, you may end up having to compensate me if the seller is not compensating, or we can work it into the deal, whatever you'd like to do. Went to the builder, just said, hey, here's our offer with my full fee, because my client wanted it rolled into the deal. They didn't want to pay me out of pocket. The builder came back and said, hey, at this, we need to come up a little bit higher because we were anticipating a lower payout to a buyer's agent. I'm like, cool, let me go back to my clients. I presented it. I said, hey, to get this full fee covered, they want this price. And it was like, a couple $1,000s more.
Yeah, just to cover that difference.
Yeah. What do you want to do? And they're like, is that your full fee in there? I'm like, yep. They're like, sounds great. Let's go. Perfect. So like,
how about
that's it?
Have that same conversation with Max, but instead of compensation, say closing cost, and nothing's changed.
Right.
We've been saying that my client didn't have enough for down payment. They need their closing costs covered. We can go up however much it needs to be to get it covered.
Well, here's the harsh reality, guys. The harsh reality is you're going to have a deal like any deal. It won't appraise, right?
It's going to happen.
You're going to ask for your full fee, and it won't appraise. And the first thing that anybody's going to think is, well, but if the compensation wasn't in there, maybe it would have appraised. So let's go back to the agent and try to see if they'll be willing to give something up, right?
Yep.
Which may be true depending on how much more you got. I don't know, but we're probably not. We all know if the appraisal's close, they're making it happen over a couple $1,000, right? So, but here's the harsh reality. The buyer's going to come back and they're going to say something like that. Or maybe even the listing agent would suggest and be like, well, remember, we were paying out 2.5 and you had us write 3.
Mm-hmm. Well, remember, you accepted it.
Right. Remember, you accepted. But like the harsh reality of that conversation is, hey, I hear you. My compensation is just not on the table. We'll just cancel.
Yeah.
That's fine. We'll go find another house.
You have to keep your value.
It's
the second you drop it for one person, you're
the
gonna
home
end up
not
dropping
appraising has
else.
nothing to do with me.
No.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with me. The buyer has the option at that point to pay the difference in cash, lower the price, and pay me, I guess, separately for my compensation difference, or cancel and
Find another house.
go find another house, or the seller comes down in price. It will never be,
anything that has to do with
hey,
your
your compensation's too high. Be like, this is the value that I bring to the table that my client agreed to. And we did a ton of stuff to get to this point. This isn't my problem. Here are the options. And you know what? Yeah, if it's a $500, $1,000, who knows? Maybe we throw in a little bit, right?
Right.
But if someone's like, it appraised $10,000 low, we got to look at your commission. I'd be like, look,
That
just
ain't even going to cover it.
yeah, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Like it's just
Not even getting
this
paid
isn't
10K.
right. Yeah, not even getting paid 10K. What are we talking about here? But those are going to be. I say all of this because I think that this is the thing that a lot of these agents are running scared from, as they're running through these scenarios in their mind, and they've never had to have these conversations with a buyer before, and they're just like, I don't know how to do it, so I better make sure that I'm guaranteed this commission, right?
And I think that's something that I love about our group is the script battles have been a huge bonus in helping me learn how to do all of this. I mean, the meeting that we had where it was a mandatory meeting. We went over all the paperwork and all of these things, and you taught us how to do the scripting for all of this. So when we went into August 17th and everything changing and the world going to a different place, I guess, didn't change for any of us.
No.
We knew exactly
It's
what
been
to expect
business
and
as
how to deal
normal.
with it. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not supposed to say business
Yeah,
normal, but like
right.
business is normal for what we planned on.
Correct.
I guess. We planned on this. EXP came out and said they're not paying broker to broker compensation. So a bunch of agents freaked out and said EXP is not paying any compensation. That's not what we're saying.
It's false news.
It's absolutely not right. We are absolutely paying compensation if the offer is appropriate and it's all negotiable. We're just not giving it to. We just don't want to give it to EXP first, then EXP passes it behind the scenes to another brokerage.
It's always been seller.
The seller just gives it to the buyer's agent at closing. That's what's happening anyways. But so
there's no need to have a third person in there.
well, yeah, just I never understood why that was the case anyways.
I don't know a lot of people.
And I don't think anybody even like gets it. They're just like,
Okay.
broker to broker compensation. Oh, they're not doing that. I guess we're not getting paid. It's like, we'll pay you.
Yeah.
Bring a good offer.
All I know is that like that broker to broker compensation form that they want us to fill out, not having the buyer or the seller on it is wild.
That sounds real legit, right?
Is wild.
But and that form, at least to my knowledge, it probably existed. No one used it ever until like 3 months ago. Because
when they started hearing,
because they were like, well, hold on, the compensation is being removed from the MLS, so I have to have it in the offer somewhere, right? And this is before the new form changes came down, so there was nothing in the offer about it, nothing. So people started using this broker-to-broker compensation form, which made sense at the time because there was a chance that you may not get paid because it was getting removed from the MLS. But now that it's out of the MLS and it's in the purchase agreement, the form makes no sense, guys. What are we doing? What, it doesn't make it. Anybody watching this, I challenge you. Please, God, explain to me how this form is needed, compliant, being transparent. What's the point?
if anything, it's the opposite.
Why did we get sued?
Why did the agents get sued? It was a lack of transparency about compensation. So you know what we should do? Let's take a form that doesn't require the buyer or the seller to even see it at all, and let's just
describes only compensation.
Let's use that. And I'm just like, I'm sitting there, and I mean, I've had legit like brokers tell me this, like, oh, we got to have this or we're not in compliance. I'm like,
if I have this, I feel like
if you have this, you're going to get sued, big time.
DOJ, baby.
I'm telling you, dude, like I don't understand it. I don't understand any of it. And I have had nobody.
Department of
Justice. Yeah.
I was like, what?
Max, like, what?
But
Missed that one.
But honestly, like somebody please, like I'm not even saying prove me wrong. Educate me because I am missing something completely on this where first off, the funds don't even come from the seller. Where do they come from?
The buyer.
The buyer.
Because they buy
So
the
the
house.
buyer pays all the agents. Let's make this very clear.
Yeah, sorry, I was still stuck on DOJ, so I was like,
Department of Justice.
Max's brain just melted. If you're watching, go back about 15 seconds and watch Max's brain go.
it just it was a reset button. They clicked reset, and it
No, but
just
like dead serious though. Like the buyers pay all the agents. The seller is just receiving their proceeds
and moving
and
on.
passing money on to other people. But like the money comes from the buyer.
Right.
So it's just all this is just fun nonsense that we get to deal with, and like it's not a big deal. I'm personally making more money than I ever have before because of these rule changes. My clients are very well educated, and everything is transparent. They are making the decisions that they're making based on options given to them. It's not just like not telling them something and then they end up doing this. It's like they're electing to do these things.
Right.
Because they understand their options. And it's like, that's how it's supposed to be, guys.
And I think it helps too, because now we're dealing with buyers, especially that are listening to the NAR lawsuit and reading about it, and whether they're getting real news or false news, like it puts us at a level above other agents that aren't explaining it correctly.
You want to talk about fake news?
Yeah, let's hear it.
I literally just got this text sent to me from a past client of mine. It's a screenshot of it. Looks like a mailer.
Okay.
And it literally has his name on it. So it came to his house.
From an agent?
So no. This is from like a attorney.
Okay.
A federal court authorized this notice. Residential real estate broker commissions antitrust settlements. Notice of proposed settlements. Proposed settlements with all defendants total over $980 million. And then in a big square box it says, if you sold a home and paid a commission to a real estate agent, you may, in italicized font, be a part of a class action settlement.
Huh.
So he says that he sent that to me and he said, is this happening right now?
And what'd you do? Look at it and blink
I just said I honestly don't know what this is, but like this is my point to everybody that's out there running around with these broker to broker forms. I'm like, you guys, the attorneys, the lawyers, like that field is hyper focused on real estate right now. So you don't want to get caught doing anything that looks even a tiny bit sketchy, even though your broker is saying, oh, this is the right way to do it. I don't know. Does it feel right? Like,
did you read between the lines?
What's the saying? If it looks like a duck and sounds like a duck, it's probably a duck or something like that. It's like if the form
Isn't
looked,
if it's too good to be true, it's Probably not true.
not
Yeah,
true.
but yeah.
Not ducks.
My point with the duck thing is when you look at the form, does it look legitimate? No. Does it read like it's legitimate? Meaning, is it transparent, buyer and seller on there anywhere? No. So is it probably not a good idea? Like, yeah, it's
Probably not a good idea.
not. Like, why are we doing it? Especially when there's a spot on the purchase agreement.
And
It's just-
correct me if I'm wrong, the people that are using that broker to broker are crossing off that section on the PA.
Yes.
The whole thing, not just portions of it.
Yeah. And just, the problem with all of this, though, is they're not explaining it properly to their clients, because at the end of the day, the buyer and seller make the decision, right?
Right.
But just like I do, that agent is saying to their client, hey, they wrote it in the purchase agreement, but we don't do that because they want you to pay them directly, which is weird. Like, you would have to negotiate with them. And like, we're not doing that. I'm representing you, so we're going to use this broker to broker form. That's wrong. That's not at all what it says. Okay. But I've heard that. I've heard that from people being like, well, if we take broker to broker out, then that means the seller has to negotiate with the buyer's agent.
You're not.
Like, what are we talking about?
Oh no.
It's never been that way.
We're not talking about that because the seller is represented by a listing agent,
Wow.
and then a buyer is represented by the buyer's agent. If the seller wants to negotiate directly with the buyer's agent, you know what they do? They sell their house without an agent.
And that is called a for sale by owner.
That happens.
Good luck.
Yeah, but not very frequently, because it's a nightmare. But my point is like, but that's a problem with all of the stuff we're talking about. Is it's the agent saying things to make things easier for them,
Not for their client.
right? But if you literally just sat down and showed, this is why they want it in the purchase agreement, and this is why we would use the broker to broker form. What would you like to do? No one is choosing
The broker.
the broker to broker form. It's not. Why would a seller ever choose that? They don't even sign it.
No.
They're like, well, but I don't even see what's happening.
Yeah. And I guarantee a lot of sellers would look at that, not see their signature line and say, why is this relevant?
Well, we say, who agreed to that?
Yeah. Why? Yeah.
I didn't want to pay them 3%. Why did we say yes?
Right?
Exactly.
And how do you prove that? Like, okay, it's in a listing contract, right? But the listing contracts can be amended, or I don't know. It's in the offer.
Yeah.
Right.
Leave it there.
2.7. It's in the offer. Look at that.
We all hate paperwork. Why add another sheet to it?
Again, please, somebody tell me what I'm missing. Please, for the love of God, because I just want this all to end.
It'll be your nightmare's ending soon.
Oh
Yeah,
my
you know.
gosh.
So that
That's
was
crazy.
one question. Tyler, what are you seeing?
Yeah. Anyways, I will wrap this up because I know these guys are really busy, but I thought I'd bounce some scenarios off you guys to see, like, I think it's just good for people to hear some of this stuff play out a little bit, you know?
I think so. The role playing's nice. I think a lot of people get to actually, like you said, see it, hear it.
Long story short, we are paying out buyer's agents. It's just negotiable.
We are not, here's what we're not doing. We're not predetermining a number,
We're not showing our poker hand.
because if you play poker, you don't play them with your cards out. Okay? And if my client says, yep, I'd be willing to pay up to 4%, is it in their best interest that I tell people that, or do I wait and see what the offers look like first?
Nate, what do you think you should do?
Option B.
Ding, ding, ding. What do we have for him, Johnny? Like, yeah, you don't know, but everybody understands, like, duh, option B. Okay? So, yes, all of our clients, when they see a net sheet, they see the net sheet paying out a buyer's agent, because that's what we can expect. But it doesn't mean they're getting locked into that number, right?
Let me be the other agent.
Let me,
now.
please do.
You're not going to get as much traffic. If you're paying out 4% advertising it and you get multiple offers, then it's not even going to matter because you're made more on the sale price than saving 1%
Okay? I hear you.
buyer's agent. What's
Hey.
your response?
Brady.
That's my name.
Yep. I would here's how I would agree with you. I would agree with you if you can tell me that every listing that you have locked in a higher payout and advertised it, that it's sold in multiple offers in the first week. Has that happened since you started in real estate?
I don't have the data.
The answer is no. Want to know why? Because not every house is the same. And not every season is the same. Not every market's the same. Like,
And how can you advertise it to every agent?
right.
out
Well,
there?
here's the deal. We could download a list, right? We know we can go get a list of agents, and we could send it out to every single one of them. But how many agents are actually waking up that day, logging into their email, and they're like, whoa, the Tyler Miller team's paying out 4% on a house in Blaine? Let me go get my buyers and wrangle them up and bring them through. They're not going to do that. They were going to show that house anyways.
And it also goes back again to like forcing somebody into a house. What if they don't want to see it anyways?
Right.
And you're over here.
Now, here's the other little thing I've heard about this, because I've had this debate with a few people.
Yeah.
They'll say to me, well, but it makes it so when we go to negotiate that they're not as difficult to deal with because they know they're getting compensated pretty well. So they make the inspection period a little bit better. Like they don't dare send over a laundry list of items because they know that they're getting paid really well. And again, I'm like,
They're not going to care.
okay,
It's up to the buyer. Right?
Let me just ask you this, Mr. or Mrs. Realtor. Have you ever had a bad inspection? Like has an agent ever dragged you through the coals during an inspection period and or canceled because of a bad inspection? And that person, I guarantee it, would say, well, yeah. Be like, okay, so then we're done. The argument's over. If it worked every single time, then I would do it every single time. But it doesn't, because every situation is different, right? What I do know is that 2% is less than 3%. That works every single time. And so if a buyer's agent wants to write an offer with 2% in there versus 3%, my client just saved 1%. That math checks out every time. So,
And there's no argument to be had on that.
I don't know. Again, I could be wrong about all this. This is all new, but when in my mind, I just think like, let's not pretend that like people are so motivated by a dollar that they're going to look the other way, not advocate for their agent or their client when they're in a deal, negotiating an inspection period. Because that's the big one I've heard about the advertising the high percent is like, oh, they're much easier to deal with during the transaction. I'm like, they
That's
are
how they should be no
legally,
matter what.
they're legally obligated.
Yeah, just burping.
Thank you.
Don't worry.
But like, correct me if I'm wrong, they're legally obligated to act in their client's best interests. That doesn't mean look the other way because I'm getting paid 1% higher than I quote unquote should be. That's ridiculous. That's such a small,
Terrible. It's unethical.
well, and it's such a small like blip on the radar. Not that money doesn't matter, but like it's one client. Like,
Right.
because the odds of you finding another listing paying out 4% or 5% or something is so few and far between right now. So, hey, more power to you. And again, any of our clients, if you want to advertise a commission compensation, we definitely can. It's just you can't put it on the MLS anymore. So it's not as easy
find
to get
another
the
way to
word out. You got to like put it out there in emails, on social media maybe. But I just personally don't know any agent that is motivated that much by that number where they're like, I'm going to go and find a buyer now for that. And I'm going to push them towards that house. If there's two houses they're deciding between and one pays a little bit more, I could see an agent like maybe being slightly swayed. But that's, again, like not super common.
At the end of the day, it's the client's choice.
I feel like I should know this, but do you have a listing live right now?
Other than my new construction, no.
How many? So you probably haven't received any phone calls on.
No, but I
Hey.
mean, we've had agents like
Yeah.
Lauren has had a couple. She's received some phone calls, some text messages from agents.
Are you paying out a commission?
Yeah. And Lauren,
What's your response?
the response that I would recommend to anybody is, hey, thanks for asking. Our client is absolutely willing to pay out. I would start with that. We're absolutely willing to pay out a buyer's agent, and they've been counseled and prepared accordingly. But they have made the decision to not have a predetermined number. But again, we love buyer's agents. Please write your compensation in the offer, and I'll go to bat for you. Like, everybody's showing that house.
Yeah, as a buyer's agent, all right, let's go.
Everyone
right away.
should.
Everybody should, but like the first scenario, I don't know. I think there are some people running a little scared right now where they're like, that's too much like unknowns. So I'm just gonna go find one that's paying out 2.7 because that way I know my buyers don't have to pay me anything. And what I would say to them is like, they're not gonna have to. If you write an appropriate offer, we're fine. But if you write me a $50,000 below asking price offer, I'm sorry, my client might be like, hey, with that compensation and that offer, I can't do both.
One or the other,
Right?
Pick or choose. If
Probably
that.
neither.
Like neither, yeah.
Probably neither, but
Yeah.
like it's just all so silly. But yes, we've had people asking that question, and
Decrease in showings. Any for you?
right now, dude, the market's slow right now.
Dude, it is. I just
The
had
market's very slow right now.
3 open houses. One person came through.
It is a state fair.
But this is very common. for those of you who've been in the industry for more than 2 days, like the summer is slow. This is why we always tell everybody, don't put your house on the market if you can help it during those summer months, because everybody's at the cabin, everybody's at the fair, everybody's, school starting. Nobody wants to do anything with real estate. So, like, yes, things are slow, but I don't think it has anything to do with this compensation thing whatsoever. It's just, this is the reality of the market right now, and it's a great opportunity for any buyer to get in, because as soon as school starts, people get in their routines. It picks back up a little bit.
They get a little bit more comfortable getting uncomfortable and looking at houses and things like that.
Well, they're just like, all right, we finally got the kids in school. Oh, look at this house. Let's go take a look. And so I don't know. I just think you never know. But this is a great time for any buyer, because you're for sure not having to go up against too many multiples. I mean, it's just not really a thing.
You're going to end up paying pretty much what you see, or for most times, often not.
Although I've seen so many realtors right now saying multiple offers are back, and I'm like,
they were like 3 weeks ago, but I don't think they were this weekend.
They were for me.
It must have been
this weekend.
Yeah,
on land,
on dirt.
On dirt?
Dirt was in multiple offers. How crazy is that, man?
Nate had a hell of a weekend.
I did have a hell of a weekend, man.
I think it must have been a suggested social media post from some sort of big company, because I saw like 20 videos that one week of like, multiple offers are back, and I'm sitting there, I'm like, I just wrote like 4 offers and there's no other offer. Like
3 weeks ago, I price point like 300 to 400. I wrote 3 offers one weekend. They all had 5+ offers on the house.
Yeah. And in that situation, that's when you start.
That's when I call them all this week and be like, hey, let's go look.
Yep.
We're back.
But then nobody wants to. They want to wait until everyone else is
It's time
looking.
to get that deal you've been waiting for.
All right.
But anyways, I said I was going to wrap it up like a while ago. So I'm going to wrap it up.
minutes ago,
A 10-minute video we were trying to do?
Yeah, it's like around 10
Tyler
minutes.
walks in, goes, "You guys want to film a 10-minute video?"
And then
guys got 10 minutes?
And then I said it'd be the quickest 10 minutes ever.
And then Nate said, anyway.
But anyways,
longer than 10.
I hope this maybe gave you all a little insight as to why who you work with matters, and choosing the right realtor, the right team matters. I can promise you, everybody on our team is going to show you any house you want to see. We're not going to scare you into thinking that you're going to have to pay us something. We are absolutely here to negotiate for you and look out for your best interests. So have no fear. We're here to help.
Team is here.
The Tyler Miller team is here. And with that being said, I appreciate everyone's support. I appreciate all you guys. You guys are amazing.
Appreciate you, T-Money.
And
We just want to lead people home.
just lead people home, baby. And we'll give you an update. We'll have another roundtable discussion here probably in a month or two, just to see if things have went a different way. But
See if it all blew up.
yeah, but for now, I would say sellers, we got a great strategy for you, and buyers, we'll get you in any house you want. So reach out. We'll get going. But have a wonderful day, everybody.
Thank you.
I'm gonna do what Max does.
I love that. So cool.
Shout out the MN Talk Show. Everybody go watch it. New episode coming out this Friday. Thank you.
Pod gods.